So, hello everyone. My name is Bhavya Sudhi, and on behalf of Progressive Students Forum (TISS), I would like to welcome all the participants to this session on online assessment under the aegis of the Admission Assistance Cell of PSF. PSF is a student organization functioning in the campus for the past 10 years and engages itself in various roles of assisting students for admission and even after that for other academic pursuits. PSF has been running the admission assistance program from 2017. This is the sixth year we are doing our session like this. This is an extension to our principal stand to make this an inclusive campus having students from various socio-economic background. We have been conducting session in 20 plus languages for all the courses, and after the admission we are also going to facilitate other kinds of relevant assistance. For questions related to DAF, please refer to the video we have uploaded on YouTube of the previous session that was held on the DAF. We would also like to make it clear that this is a student support mechanism, and anything that is being shared with you through our sessions comes from our experience of the past years, and this should not be taken as a ready reference guide. The online assessment is a dynamic exercise and one can expect anything there. The purpose is to give general orientation only. Coming to the house rules, the session is for seven courses of the schools of human ecology, School of Habitat Studies, School of Media and Cultural Studies, School of Disaster Studies, and School of Law, Rights and Constitutional Governance. And we'll be having a brief presentation by the volunteers from these schools. During the presentation, uh, please don't pose any question and interrupt the person concerned. After the session is over, like after all the courses are over, we are going to have a question and answer session, during which please post your questions or ask your question in whatever way you are convenient. Just stick to the mandate of the session, that is only for the online assessment, including the extempore and the personal interview. So for the first course, I would like to invite Shravani from Masters of Arts in Applied Psychology in Clinical and Counseling Practices. Shravani, you can please take over.
Thanks, Bhavya. So hi everyone, I'm Shravani. I'm from first year of Masters in Applied Psychology. So talking about the DAF, I hope you all watched the video that was posted by PSF earlier. So why going on to the specific area of applied psychology? Why are you interested in pursuing the selected program? So you could just basically mention what motivated you towards this program. You could add a personal touch to it, and mentioning your work about the relevant field in psychology. The most common question is it necessary to have worked in a psychological department? No, it's not. I did not have any sort of experience. But you can mention any other NGO work that you have done and try to relate it to psychology somehow. Coming on to the online assessment, they do give you some time to think up on the topic that they've just given you, and then you need to talk on that, elaborate on that topic. For that, there is a time limit. Other than that, um, in your PI, they may ask you questions about psychology, the general concepts that you have studied in your UG, which might include talking about any specific school of thought of psychology, or which, according to your opinion, or which school of thought do you like, and then ask your opinions on it. They might ask you questions from psychological testing, experimental paradigms, psychological disorders, diagnosis, and it can also be related to what you have spoken in your PI. So, for example, I spoke about being interested in sports psychology. So, they asked me questions on how arousal levels were related to performance. So, questions can be related in such way. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Yeah, so these are some of the themes that were previously asked in extempore. They might not necessarily come this year, but you can get an idea of how to do it. So a link will be a drive link will be shared to you, where some people, not necessarily those who have been selected, they have shared their experience of the interview. It will be shared by Meera. So for suppose example, I got the topic of media and mental health. So you could talk about how media and mental health are related. You could mention some current events that took place that spoke about mental health. So for example, during my time, I spoke about the Sushant Singh Rajput thing, um, or like take an example from a TV series such as The Family Man, and how mental health care professionals were portrayed in it. So depends on you. You can be creative in your own way. Can we move on to the next slide? Yeah, so in general, you need to be aware of what the mental health healthcare domain in India is doing. So, for example, recently the Mental Health Care Act came out, so you could talk on it. They could ask your opinions on it. You must be able to answer such questions because these are quite common. Try to have an opinion on these things. Try to list the pros and cons, but also have an opinion on it and not just state facts. That comes from a personal experience. Actually, I feel that they like you to mention they like you to mention your opinions, is what I thought from my experience. um, it's absolutely all right if you haven't done any research work. I had not done any, but they might ask you, for example, suppose they might ask you about the NGO work that you had done and what you learned from it. So you could somehow relate that to psychology, about how you learned about the different socio-cultural backgrounds that people come from. So add your learnings to try to relate them somehow to psychology. Um, then there are some related so suppose if you've written a research paper, they might ask you about the methodology that you used. So unless you're sure about what you've written in the paper, they might grill you on it, so be ready to answer such questions. Um, so in when they asked me about my NGO experience in NSS, so they asked me what kind of favorite project uh, was mine, and then they asked me what I learned from it. So, for example, I gave them an example of how learning disorders are not easily recognized in municipal schools, but could be recognized easily in schools where the teachers are aware of such disorders. So you can mention such points. And if you do not know any answer, don't be scared to tell them that you don't know it. Just be honest and just try to show that you're genuine in learning. um, and yeah, authenticity would make the greatest impact during the interview. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Shravani. Now I would like to call Soshangi from Master of Science ECSS. So you can please take over, Soshangi.
Yeah, I hope I'm audible. Yeah. So, guys, the first thing that they'll ask you is why you're interested in the course, and yeah, you must state your reasons. And the second thing that they would ask you is about the works that you had done in that particular, I mean, with respect to environment, climate change, sustainability studies. So, this, if you're sure of, I mean, half the work is done. And yeah, and you can actually see in the slide here, these are the extempore topics. And yeah, so they'll actually give you some time, like they'll actually give you two topics and you can choose one amongst them. They'll give you some time to think, and then yeah, you can actually reflect on, I mean, you can actually present your reflections. So some of the topics mentioned here are hurdles in achieving India's SDGs, and should we ban plastic completely, climate change as a social construct, etc., etc. And next slide, please. So with respect to online personal interview, the first question is they'll ask you about the motivation to do the course, and they'll also ask you about your interests. And yeah, the thing is, this thing you all must keep in mind that they'll actually check your preparedness and your basic knowledge of the previous course that you had pursued. So the three panelists present, at least one of them will certainly check your previous knowledge. So please keep that in mind. And yeah, so some of the topics that are some of the topics for personal interview are here. And they are, I mean, yeah. So it's about these international treaties regarding climate change, like the Kyoto Protocol and Paris Agreement, etc., etc. And yeah, they also actually grill you based on your responses in the DAF. And one thing that I want all of you to keep in mind is that you must be very familiar with the place that you come from. That is very, very important because they want to know how aware of you, like general awareness is for sure, but the region awareness is also important. So keep these things in mind. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Sushangi. Now I would like to call Saloni for urban policy and governance.
Thank you, Pavya. Hi, everyone. My name is Saloni. I'm a first year student of urban policy and governance. So I think I'm sure you all know about what urban policy and governance deals with. So I think one of the most important questions is why this course? Because they want to know what are your motivations and if you're really interested, and if they definitely want to see if you're a serious candidate. So you need to have a really good answer to why you want to pursue this course. And secondly, you need to be prepared with, are you sure? Like they asked me, like I did my graduation in law. So they asked me that why do you want to pursue urban policy and governance after law? So you need to be prepared with that also. They might ask you that you did this course in your graduation, so now why do you want to pursue urban policy and governance? They might also ask you about your work experience, if you've mentioned any, if you've mentioned about any internship, or if you mentioned about any previous work you've done, they might ask you about that. So be prepared with what you've written in your DAF, because they might ask you questions from that. And in your interview, don't say things that you don't know about, because they might pick you on that. I mean, whatever you say, they might pick you on that and then ask you questions following to what you said before. So, and then you need to have a good grasp of what you studied in your graduation. As I mentioned before, I did law, so they asked me, I think, at least 3-4 questions regarding law. But that might not be the case with you. I mean, they might ask you something totally unrelated, but I'm just telling you my experience. And they will ask you questions related to what you've written in DAF, so have a good hold on it. And you need to have a basic intro to the course. So what my experience was, that the interview for urban policy and governance was very academics based. They wanted to know if I have an idea about urban policy and governance. So make sure to go to the site, go to the TISS site and read about what urban policy and governance is, and read about things that are related to it. Next slide, please, Bhavya. Yeah, so these are the themes for interview. I mean, you should prepare this, but apart from that, you should also prepare things that you think might be relevant. You should know about urban policies. Policy is a very broad term. It includes rules, principles, guidelines, laws, legislations. So you should know, like they asked me, what is an urban policy? Can you give me an example? So you need to know about urbanization. As I mentioned before, you need to know about urban policy and governance. So you need to know about urban planning, smart cities, urban governance. You need to know about current affairs related to the course. Is there anything related? Is there any scheme that related to urban that that was recently introduced? And you should also know current affairs related to your previous course, and centrally sponsored programs and schemes like housing schemes and poverty alleviation schemes. You should know about all those also. Next slide, please, Bhavya. And these were the, so I asked my batchmates and I was able to prepare this list. I mean, this list is not exhaustive, and I mean, they might ask you totally different, ask you about totally different things, but I will suggest that you please also read about these. So EIA is environmental impact assessment. You should know about this. You should know about SIA, which is social impact assessment. You should know about GIS, which is a geographic information system. And then 74th amendment. So a friend of mine told me that she mentioned that she had done research on decentralization. So she was asked about 74th amendment. Then you might be, a friend of mine was asked about PTS. You should know about urban transport. You should know about role of municipalities. Rural to urban migration, which is urbanization, you should also know about that. And you should know about socio-cultural perspective in the urban. So yeah, apart from that, I would say be prepared and do read about everything all the things that you could cover, because that would help you in building confidence. And yeah, that's it. All the best.
Thank you, Saloni. Now I would like to call Varsha for water policy and governance. Varsha.
Oh, hello, all. Good evening. Am I audible? Okay, so my name is Varsha, and I am a first-year student at Water Policy and Governance. Saloni, are you telling anything? Okay, so okay, so yeah, so as Saloni and Sushangi pointed out that you have to prepare based on your UG course and why you are motivated to join this water policy and governance course. So that is the basic guideline given by TISS. So now for the extempore part, we have to utilize the time given to prepare on spot and sequence your points. So see, they'll give you a topic first and then you can choose a second topic or you can go with the first topic. So absorb and answer the question. So don't waste your time on it. That will really help you in scoring marks. And the time usually given is 2 to 3 minutes here. So make sure you stick to the time limit. And here are the topics like prepare the national issues and based on where you are from, know what is happening in your state. And in water topics like prepare Namami Gange, Swachh Bharat Mission, both rural and urban. See what are the persistent water crises in India. Read about Jal Jeevan Mission and other topics given in the list. So what I would tell is that try to build your narrative on what these schemes are, what these policies are, and what you think about them, because they want to know what you think of and what you perceive of this topic. So based on that, they will grade you. It can be positive, it can be negative, but don't be neutral on it and don't just say what the government is telling. So that's what I have to say about the extempore. Can we go to the next slide? And as for the interview, the standard questions are tell about yourself, why you want to join this course, and work experiences if you have any. And the experiences of DAF, I heard from my classmates as well that they were more focused on the DAF-based questions and know about the overall problem of your domicile state. Focus more on what is the rainfall pattern in your state, what rivers are flowing, what is the people's perception on water management. And it's an added bonus if you have worked on the water sector. Like I mentioned that I have worked on 3 lake restoration bodies. So they asked about that experiences and whether the lake was successfully restored, what state it is in, or whether you can draft a policy for managing lakes. And you can add creativity to your points as well. So, and most important thing, if you know something, yes, answer correctly. But if you don't beat around the bush, say you don't know it. And some students in my class also spoke in Marathi and Hindi, but they asked permission before answering it. So make sure you ask that before you switch to languages. And about the panelists, you can check out the TISS websites and see based on which school, like I'm from Habitat School, so we have 4 courses in it. And based on any 4 courses, there can be panelists coming and interviewing you. So you can look about the profiles. As for the dress code, there's no particular dress code, just be neat and presentable and stay calm throughout the interview. You can do well. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Varsha. Now I would like to call Vaishak from disaster management. Saloni, can you please unmute? Vaishak. Vaishak.
Yeah, can I start?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my name is Vaishak and I'm currently in the second semester at Jamsetji Tata School of Disaster Studies. So coming to the interview part, I've noted some important points. The first point is read the DAF form thoroughly and try to connect it with the reason for your interest in joining the DM program. So I would like to request you all to read the DAF form which you are submitting very thoroughly, because they are going to read it and they are going to ask questions based on the points which you mention in that DAF form. And if your program is, for example, if you're choosing disaster management, then they will try to connect those events with the interest that you are mentioning as the interest for joining this program. So you need to have proper reasons for each and every one of those questions. That is the first point. The second point is get an idea on the subjects and important concepts learned in your undergraduate program. So I am an engineer. I did BTech in electronics and telecommunications. So in my interview, more than the topics on disaster management, I got a lot of topics on electronics and telecommunication. So you need, I won't say that you need to revise the entire undergraduate books which you have collected over 4 years or 3 years, or whatever the duration was of your undergraduate study. But I would definitely say that you need to have an idea on the subjects and certain important concepts which you might have studied in your undergraduate program. So they are going to ask questions on that because they want to get an idea of how good a student you are, and how interested you were in your undergraduate study. Because the interest, uh, if a person has an interest in a certain subject, that is going to continue, and that interest is what pushes him ahead towards a good master's program. So the third point is related to disaster management. Um you should be aware of the major disasters and governmental organizations which are working in the disaster management sector. So since you are coming for the disaster management course, and India, as you all know, is a very disaster prone country, so I won't suggest that you should go into deep analysis of each and every disaster, but you should have an idea of the major disasters which have occurred in India, and towards which disasters India is more prone to. And there are certain parts of India which are prone to a certain disaster. So you should have a basic idea. And there are various organizations at the national level, at the state level, and at the local level which work in the disaster management sector. Like there is National Disaster Management Authority, there is NIDM, there are state disaster management authorities. So you should know the hierarchy and the organizational structure of these institutions. And the one more important point is browse through the TISS website and know about the course in much more detail, including the specializations offered. So in my case, I got this question because I come from a technological background. So they asked me which specialization do you want to choose. So I had the answer because I had gone through the website and I knew that there is a specialization in disaster management, which involves technological applications in disaster management. So I could answer that very well. But that happened because I went through the website and I was aware of the three specializations which disaster management had to offer. So you should go through the website at least once and have an idea of the topics and the specializations which your course offers. The next slide, please. Yeah. So some important themes for extempore. In extempore, I feel that you should be aware of the general hot topics, burning issues which are happening in the country. And apart from that, you should be aware of certain important news articles of the past 6 months to 1 year time period, which has happened in your specific sector. So I think extempore is not very program specific, because I got very general topics. So that's why I feel that an overall general awareness of a range of topics will help you put some points, because they give you a time of 2 minutes to jot down your points. So if you have a general idea of a range of topics, then you will be able to perform well in that. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Vaishak. Now I would like to call Prahlad from Media and Cultural Studies. Prahlad.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. So, firstly, I have compiled a list of topics which were asked in the extempore in the previous years. As you can see, I think similar to disaster management, these are not specific to the course, but it could be related to some sort of a current affairs which is relevant at the moment. So we had this pandemic outbreak, so there were many questions which were asked related to that. Or it could all this if you look at this Indian versus Western version of secularism and arranged marriage and freedom of speech. These are also like sort of theoretical concepts. Like since this is we have a lot of theory to deal with in this course, but I mean it's not necessary that you need to like be well versed. If you have the ability to explain the concepts in very simple terms, but still say something substantial, I think even that is very useful in that sense. But just giving a broad idea, and there's also this one question which was asked about caste representation in Indian cinemas. Since this course also deals with films and video production in general, so clubbing both the sort of aspects. So yeah, this is just a broad overview of the topics in general. Can we go to the next slide? So yeah, before I get to the tips, yeah, generally the type of question you will ask is obviously like, what interested you? Did your bachelor's in XYZ and now you want to do your master's in this? So what is the sort of reasoning you have behind that? So so you have to be sort of prepared for that. And there have been a lot of people with many gap years and a lot of work experience as such, so that is not a hindrance at the onset. So I would say like the tips is like look at the topic from multiple angles. So like my topic was about arranged marriage, so I had to like sort of give the class caste perspective and the what impact it has had on the gender relations in India, and what are the legal frameworks which sort of deal with this whole issue, about marriage and caste in general, and also about the sort of the social evils attached to that and the political side of that. And I also mentioned what Ambedkar had to say about arranged marriage and what Gandhi had to say about arranged marriage. So this is not this is just a broad outline that rather than like repeating the same point elaborately in about 2 to 3 minutes, if you have more points in your hand, it will be you'll be able to manage your time better. And then like you do not have to be very sort of neutral or very measured. So if you have some, if there is some instance where the government is deserving of criticism, or some societal aspect is deserving of criticism, like patriarchy or casteism, you can use those words and you can explicitly say what you have to say. But at the same time, you must keep in mind that it has to be relevant to the topic which is being discussed, and only to that. It's best if you don't like sort of go off on a tangent in that sense. And being able to explain your points is more important than usage of jargon. So what happens is like there are some words like hegemony or political economy, and if you use those words without fully knowing what it means, it could probably lead to problems if they ask you to sort of elaborate on the terms and you sort of struggle in that. So you could use the terms, but again, it has to be extremely relevant to the topic, and you have to know that and it's not even necessary, like using simple words. If you're able to explain the same thing, even that is more than good enough, I would say. And as I said, the question specific to news media or cinema from progressive lens might be asked. Like I was asked the role of media during this COVID-19. So like I highlighted the positives, like in Gujarat, where they had to, collaborate the data from the graveyards to the hospital to see if the death figures are matching. And also the negatives, like, what happened with the Tablighi Jamaat and the whole communalization. So you can speak about both such things. And yeah, they'll ask you one question that, okay, we have seen your DF, tell us something about yourself which is not in the DF. And if you have mentioned as a specific hobby, like I mentioned it as reading in the DF, and there were questions asked that, okay, which book did you read? Can you give a sort of a brief summary on that book, a critical analysis of that book? And yeah, being up to date with current affairs is really helpful, since many of the questions are related to that. And yeah, like the faculty in SMCS, they're not rude or judgmental in that sense. They're very objective, so you can be relaxed and be sort of free with what you have to say. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Prahlad. Now I would like to call Hari Krishnan for LLM and Access to Justice.
Good evening, friends. My name is Hari from LLM Access to Justice School of Law. So for the personal interview in the previous year, as previous speakers have already mentioned, the total time frame would be approximately 30 minutes, in which in the previous year the panel started with the extempore, and the time frame for the extempore would be around 5 minutes, 2 minutes for the preparation of the topic and 3 minutes for the presentation. And there is two options would be provided. If you don't know the first topic, you can ask for another one, and no further topic would be given. You have to choose from either of them. And the interview starts immediately after the completion of the extempore, where each of the panel members will ask you questions relating to your interest and the things that you have written in the DAF form. And first, obviously, it would be a tell me about yourself session. In that, apart from mentioning your personal and academic background, do include your experience and internship that you have done. It can be any initiative that you have done for the cause of the marginalized or the underprivileged communities. Since our course is more focusing for bringing up committed lawyers and academicians, or for the welfare and empowerment of the marginalized community, try to demonstrate your interest in that regard, in that area. So, and majority of the questions would be based on what you have written in your DAF form. So be thorough about what you have written in your DF and connect the issues. There will be connected questions from the DAF forms, what you have written in the DAF form, and be equipped with the legal aspects of every current affairs or any hot topic at the present situation. Question concerning that can also be asked. So it's also better to revise the criminal law, the procedure law, and constitutional awareness in the constitutional law is very important. Be prepared with the socio-political rights, the major provisions concerning the rights of marginalized community, and also about everything that concerning about the marginalized community and the privileged sections. So it's better to avoid strong one-sided opinion on contentious issues. And if you don't know anything about a topic or a subject, just frankly say I don't know. They won't judge you on the basis of that. But be open, be frank, and be confident. So it's better to check the background and the expertise of our faculties of our school, so you can have an understanding, also prepare in that regard, in accordance with that as well. And the key tip, or the most important thing, is that the panel looks in you is not only your academic brilliance, or they'll not look into your not primarily look into your speaking skill or your fluency in English. They are looking on how passionate you are for this course, how passionate and genuine you are for working for the cause of the marginalized and underprivileged section, whether you will be able to use law as a tool to fight against the inequalities, and likewise you have to be prepared, and gap doesn't matter. So these are the major tips. Could you please move on to the next slide? Okay. So these are the major themes that were asked in the previous year for the extempore. And apart from this, you should also prepare every hot topic that's happening in our present situation. Know about your state, the current socio-political issues that happening in your domicile state is also very important. And the themes runs from the prison reforms, institutional reforms like prison reforms, electoral law and media, criminal law reforms, in which go with the situations like UAPA, the draconian laws, which can be asked. As I mentioned, the constitutional law would be a important thing that we should be prepared with. I was asked with a topic called community development, and how we can use law as a tool for community development. So don't stick on to a particular topic or anything. Be understand everything that is happening around us and be prepared with that. So these are the major things from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hari. Now we would be moving to the question and answer session. So you may post the questions in the chat box also. Make sure that the question should be on the mandate of the session. Only the online assessment questions will be entertained. And for DAF related query, we have already shared the YouTube link on the chat box. You may refer to that. And for any other doubt, you will have to contact the Telegram and WhatsApp. So for the first question, we have Aniket with us. Aniket, you may speak.
Yeah, thank you. Are you able to hear me? Thank you so much. So my question relates to the School of Law. I'm aspiring for TISS. So my question is that right now, Hariharan, if I'm correct, if I'm pronouncing incorrectly, I apologize. He mentioned that if there is a first topic given for extempore, and if I want a second topic, so my question is, do I have the liberty to choose either of them, or if once I go to the next topic, I won't be able to go to the first one? That's my first question. And the second question is that since School of Law is about the legislations, does the panel in the interview is very keen on that the candidate should know the sections accurately? Is there a strong emphasis on the sections and legislations, or just the knowledge of concepts or the section is enough? Thank you.
Thank you, Aniket. For the first question, what I experienced was they asked me one topic for the extempore. I was not aware of that, and I asked for another one. They gave me another one. Though I was not able to, I was not sound enough to speak on both of them. I chose the first one. So they are not adamant on you have to totally choose the second one. That was what I experienced. And for the second question, they are not so strict that you should mention the particular section of the law. What they are more looking on you is that your awareness of that law, not your the strict section kind of thing. Bhavya, would you like to add anything on this regard?
Aniket, ideally the rule is that if you are going for the second question, you should not go back to the first question. But in case the second question turns out to be a difficult one, you can seek the permission, and that extra, special consideration can be given. So that is a special consideration and may or may not reflect in your marks. So that is something that you will have to consider. The second thing is about the second question, the legislation part. No, it's not important for you to be thorough with the sections and everything, but there are some sections which every lawyer is expected to be thorough with, the general ones. So you can't take liberty on those particular provisions. So this is going to be your answer.
Thank you, Hari and Bhavya. Thank you so much. I would like to just quickly appreciate the Progressive Student Forum. It's a great initiative helping us, especially me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. So we have a written question from for psychology. Uh, it's by Anusya. Anusya. Meera, what's the question? Can you please come in?
No, I think they have asked for link to some of the documents. So I think Pralhad has already answered saying that they can
Right.
join the group for media studies related queries.
Okay.
So the link that we shared with respective to psychology, that the students themselves only made. So that is not something that every course has done. But yeah, Pralhad has already answered that they can join this particular WhatsApp group and get cleared on their doubts. So if anyone has doubts relating to psychology.
Yeah, I have one. Um, I was just listening to another school, and they said that while the extempore is going on, they encourage them to give a personal opinion in addition to just stating facts. So, with respect to psychology, if we give our personal opinions, will that be encouraged? Is that okay, or are we not supposed to take a stand on anything particular, like political, for example?
Shavani, can you please answer?
Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think you can take a stand, but try and mention all the pros and cons of a topic. So, for example, like I mentioned for my topic, media and mental health. So, obviously, my opinion was the coverage of media regarding mental health. I basically criticized it. So, that is fine because they liked it, they seemed to like it because that was the truth. But I also mentioned how media can be used positively. So it is all right to mention your opinion. It's not just about stating your facts because they want to know what you think about the topic. So, in my opinion, yes, it is all right to mention your opinion.
All right, thank you.
Any other question for the courses that we have covered today? Guys, you can ask any questions. We are open to questions.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, Maksud.
Hello. Yeah. Am I audible, sir? Yeah. So my name is Susan and I'm preparing for the regularity policy and law. So my question is, can I use bilingual or my mother tongue language in the interview process? And how can I use that?
Maksud, your voice is not clear, but from what I can gauge, you are asking that mother, you can ask, you can answer in mother language. That's what you're asking.
Yeah. That's
Okay. So see, the idea is that it's the medium of instruction is English. In case you really want to answer the question in your mother language, you will have to seek the permission of the panel, and if they are comfortable, they may or may not allow you. So the the broad idea is that the medium of instruction in TISS is English. So you'll have to take that fact into consideration. Otherwise, you can always take permission from the panel. I hope that answers your question.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Lisha Gupta has raised the hand. Lisha, you may please ask your question. Lisha. Okay. Jay, you may ask your question.
Hi, everybody. First of all, thank you for this initiative. And my question is regarding a procedural query. So I have my final semester exams. I am in my final year right now. So my exams are from 17th of May till the 30th. And we all know the tentative or hopefully the final date for the interview starts from 24th. So in case of a clash for the dates of my exams and test interview, do you think there is any provision for being able to take it in the month of June?
Jay, I don't think that we are in a position to answer that. You will have to contact the administration thing, because that the question actually deals with change of dates and allotments. So that is outside the mandate of this session. Okay. Prahlad, can you please unmute Lisha? She is unable to unmute herself.
Yeah, like I don't have the option to unmute. I've not muted her. I'm just getting this thing that ask to unmute, and she can unmute herself, but I think that's a problem at her end.
Okay, Lisha, you can type the question if it's possible for you. I'll read out the question from Divya Pal. My question is, in disaster management, we have to choose specialization before an interview. So the panel asks question regarding the particular specialization that you have chosen, or if they, can you reflect on any idea how to be prepared for it? Can we have the answer for this?
Yeah. So we don't have to choose the specialization before the interview, but you need to know what are the specializations which are offered. Like in disaster management, there are three specializations which they offer. One is disaster policy. The second one is technologies in disaster management, and the third one is disasters and development. So you need to know what these specializations consist of. Like if you go to the website, you can have a brief idea on what all it contains. So you should just have a brief knowledge of that. That's it. Thank you.
So the question from Lisha is that I have applied for urban policy and governance. So do we need to keep in mind the South Asian urbanization as the concept of global South? Is also in the curriculum. Saloni?
Hi, Lisha. Yeah, I mean, that would be great, but I would just suggest that, it's okay if you just know the introductory part. You don't have to go in depth, but if you have a little bit knowledge about that, that would be nice.
Bhavya, did you was this question by Shweta addressed? Possibly, when will the dates be
No.
disclosed of why I have submitted DAP since a week, School of Human Ecology. So the dates you have to follow the website, because that is something which we are not having any idea on. It will be scheduled as per the availability of faculty and the whole process of interview.
Like you're muted. Were you saying something?
Do we have any other questions?
Someone's asking for the link for WhatsApp group. Nirja was.
That's sorted. That's sorted.
Yeah.
Any other question? So
There's just one by did we take this? What kind of sources should we refer to for ECC, ECCS?
I have a question. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Shikhar.
My question is there a correlation between how late one completes one DAF application and the dates for the interviews? That's one question I have.
No, the last.
I think that, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, there is no
Like,
such correlation.
Okay. Uh, okay. I have another question. Uh, s- s- I have applied for LLM access to justice. So my question is, since the course I have chosen has an interaction with politics as well as, I mean, it's at a very crucial interaction between civil society, law, and politics, because that's how it is. So how political are we allowed to get in our answers? I mean, suppose in my bio sketch, if I'm writing about my plans about what to do after I after I complete my course, suppose I write about whether I write about founding an lawyers organization that would have a sort of progressive bias. So progressive left oriented bias. So will that affect my prospects? I mean, because I mean, it will be very difficult for me to not be political in my answers, because
Okay, Shekhar. So the
many
idea
of the
is,
questions will deal with slum demolitions and tribal rights and forest laws and the amendments to it. So how political am I allowed to get? That's my question. Thank you for listening.
no, so the idea is that you can obviously state your pursuits, whatever they are. It's not an issue. And in case a question is asked about your political orientation or something, then you can be clear. But apart from that, don't just stick with your political orientation part in case the panel is not asking on that line.
Of course.
If it's on the DAF, it's okay.
Okay. Thank you for the answer.
Any other question, Jay?
Hi, so I am from BSc Mathematics Honors and I have applied for School of Human Ecology for Applied Psychology. So can anyone guide me regarding what can I expect from psychological questions, academic based questions?
This
Shravani?
question is for Shravani, right, Bhavya?
Yes.
Okay. We are sorry because she had some exam, so she had to leave. So if you could just write to us in the any of the social media handle, we can get back to you. So we'll connect with her and get back to you. This is for same for the question that Suhana has also asked. Like whatever questions which is relating to psychology, we can just write to us and we'll answer it because she had to leave. Sorry.
For Shashwat Mishra has asked WhatsApp group for LM related queries. We don't have a separate WhatsApp group. You may use the same group that we are having for admission assistance, and we'll be getting back to you on that group only. I hope that answers the question. Okay, Aniket, we'll do that. Bhagi?
I think
Yeah, Bhagi.
Hello, am I audible? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
So my question is, what kind of sources we could refer for ECSS, climate change and sustainability studies?
Hi, Bhagya.
Shushangi?
Yes. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Bhagi. So with respect to the sources, I mean, general knowledge newspapers will do. You can actually follow the UNFCCC and the IPCC reports. They are very crucial for you to clear the course. And basic understanding of the region, I think, will suffice. So yeah, this much is enough.
Okay, so I'm actually preparing for civil services exam. Do you think that I should be referring to magazines that are for IAS coaching and all, like Vision 365 PT? Would that be a lot for this interview?
I mean, since you're preparing for IAS, I think it wouldn't be a lot. And yeah, knowing more than what is required is also fine sometimes. So yeah, you can.
Okay.
The basics, if you're good at, it's more than enough, dear. Yeah.
And also, I have asked some seniors. She told me to read Down to Earth magazine. So, would that be good?
I'm really sorry, I couldn't hear the second part, like this one.
Down to Earth magazine. Would that be a good read for the interview?
Yeah, Down to Earth is actually a very good read. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so
Welcome.
much. Thank you so much for answering and organizing this session.
Welcome.
Any other questions? I think it's already 9 o'clock. We can like wind up the session. So we'll just stay for another 1 minute maybe for any question, and then we'll wind up. Pawan, you may ask your question.
Good evening, sir. I'm shortlisting for the regulatory policy and governance. What kind of topic I prepare for the extempore specifically in course related?
Can anybody from Habitat Studies answer that question?
Hi Pavan, I'm actually from urban policy and governance. So I'm not sure, but I will ask my batchmates who are from regulatory policy and governance and get back to you. You can post this or ask this question on any of our social media handles, and we will get back to you. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
But do make sure that you ask this question on our social media handles.
Okay, madam. I put this question on WhatsApp.
Okay.
That would work. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So I think we should wind up the session. On behalf of PSF, I would like to thank every participant. Shreyas, are you saying something?
I think it was Prahlad.
No, just saying that record.
Prahlad, your voice is breaking.